Those of us who were here 10 years ago remember this very well. An explosion and fire at a hazardous waste transfer facility in Apex forced more than 17,000 people from their homes for days.
FEMA called it one of the largest evacuations in the history of our country, and it forever changed how facilities like this one operate. CBS North Carolina's Steve Sbraccia covered that story then and takes us back inside the frightening ordeal.
Location of your emergency.
If needed, we had body bags, and I didn't know if I was going to need 1 or 100 or 500.
Apex 911, location of your emergency.
There is a chlorine leak.
Okay.
You can see a haze through the air, and the chlorine smell is very, very strong.
And just as Apex firefighters arrived on scene, they watched the blaze grow from a small fire to a major inferno.
Suddenly somebody said, "It just broke through the roof."
This video shows you the layout of the Environmental Quality Company's building. It was a metal roofed structure divided into bays, storing all kinds of products. But stunningly, nobody knew exactly what kinds of chemicals were housed inside that building.
We asked them for a manifest of what was in the building, and they said they didn't have it.
The fire was now roaring, consuming everything in that facility, spreading a toxic cloud all over town and forcing even first responders to back away.
While we were sitting there for 10 or 15 minutes, large 55-gallon drums of some material were flying into the air 200 feet high and exploding. Chief says, "We got to move again."
We need to start evacuation back in toward Briarcliff and all that area.
As the cloud spread, Town Hall, the police station, and the downtown business district were no longer safe places to shelter.
I went to the town hall where we asked people to come when we were making people leave their homes, but then that was in the evacuation area.
You could evacuate those people to the parking lot of the community center.
These days, a nursery sits on the site that EQ once occupied. After the accident happened, the Federal Chemical Safety Board wrote a case study citing several safety issues involved.
I had no idea. None of my neighbors, when I talked to them later, had any idea of what was there.
And neither did first responders or EQ management. At the time, hazardous waste companies were not required to provide written information to first responders on the materials which they were handling.
We were probably 14 or 15 hours into the deal before we knew exactly what the constituency of the chemicals were. Once we did get a list, it wasn't a list of words, it was a list of numbers.
Forcing firefighters to spend hours on a computer looking up names of chemicals associated with those numbers. Jean Shaka eventually found out what some of those chemicals were. She ran a thriving gymnastics program in the building which was right next door to the EQ facility. She hired a testing lab to help her determine how to clean up her gym.
What they found was the heavy metals we suspect, had come in through the air conditioning unit and had spread all over the inside of the gym.
It took 4 weeks to clean up, and she says her business never recovered.
It did my business in.
A federal investigation found that oxygen generators from aircraft were stacked underneath drums of chlorine-based pool chemicals. When the pool chemicals ignited, the heat caused the generators to release oxygen, which then accelerated the fire. The Chemical Safety Board recommended sprinklers and firewalls for similar facilities in the future to retard the spread of flames. After the fire, state lawmakers changed the rules. Now, waste chemical facilities cannot be located within a certain distance of residential areas.
Every bit as important. A manifest of that list of chemicals that are housed in that facility is required to be kept off premise.
The State Department of Environmental Quality says there are 9 facilities similar to EQ currently operating in the state, and there are thousands more places, from hospitals to local auto body shops, which generate hazardous waste.
The ones that are the most closely watched are those like environmental quality, where they are in charge of treating, storing, and disposing of hazardous waste.
And now, every one of those facilities is listed on an interactive map. I'm Steve Sbraccia, CBS North Carolina.